All right, so we've got the top 5 biggest gym myths that you need to know. Now, obviously, the fitness industry is full of advice. It's full of people claiming that this is the right thing, that is the right thing. In this video, through my 10 to 12 years of training, 5+ years of coaching, I'm going to talk you through what these myths are and why they are myths. If you're new to the channel, just make sure that you do like, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff, because you know I am brand new, fresh out the box when it comes to YouTube, so gonna need that support. Okay, so we'll go with number 1. You have to eat every 2 to 3 hours. Now, the myth itself, I'm not necessarily saying that this is a complete myth, because when you're in a prep or anything like that, you definitely need to be having your meals spaced out, but not necessarily so that you make sure that you grow. A lot of the time, it's literally just to make sure that your digestion is on point and that you're not running yourself hungry by fasting for this amount of time and then you've got to go and train on zero food. There is a link to muscle growth and long-lasting kind of muscle retention, but when we talk about like every 2 to 3 hours, all that's really saying is be consistent with your food on average to avoid to avoid any digestive issues, to make sure you are consistent through the day in terms of your energy levels. But we're not saying that in a sense of what the myth is saying, which is if you don't eat every 2 to 3 hours, then you're simply just not going to make progress, because that is a myth. Second myth. This is a good one, this one. So this one, I'm actually guilty of this myself. So back in the day, you're at college, you're doing your training, you finish your session, and then you'll whip out a protein shake from your bag, whether that's a pre-made protein shake or whether that is just whey protein and you're adding water into it. The myth is if you don't drink your whey protein shake within a 20 to 30 minute window post session, that session is a waste. Now, obviously, I think back to myself doing that and oh my fucking God, I'm cringing. But anyway, so the myth, if you don't have your whey protein, specifically whey protein shake, 20 to 30 minutes after you finish your session, that session is a waste, which is a myth, complete myth. So for instance, if you're not doing that, you're not making any less gains. The only thing on the back of that is you've just got to make sure that you're eating food post-workout when you can. Obviously, you've got to think, let's say you eat your pre-workout meal, which you should be doing. By the end of your training session, you are still digesting that meal. There is an element of digestion, there's a process still going on, that you are still absorbing protein from that last meal that it was that you had. So to say that your body is now no longer growing because there's no protein going in straight after your session is a lie. Therefore, this is a massive, massive myth. Okay, then we've got that one out of the way. Dirty bulking builds more muscle. Now, this again is a person-dependent one. Now, the reason why I say that is I am also involved in this to a certain degree. I used to dirty bulk. I also now, with how things are going with prep, etc., going in and out of deficits, I do clean bulk. The struggle that you have without dirty bulking and going into what would be you would consider a clean bulk is trying to fit the amount of volume of food that is clean in your diet to be able to grow. So I'm someone that, for instance, in the last few years when I've been trying to grow, I did an 18-month growth phase where I got to about 6 to 8 months in and I hit a fucking brick wall. And I genuinely couldn't even eat a grain of rice more than what I was already doing. And that is when I felt guilty to potentially just eating things that are more calorie dense and maybe a little bit more processed and a lot less healthy to a certain degree. I like to tell myself that I did that because I'm struggling with food, which there is an element, but also it's easier, right? Don't take the shortcut. Now, the problem that I came across doing that is I had heartburn quite a lot, digestive issues quite a lot, no pumps in the gym. I was watery quite a lot, and I got bad skin, sweaty quite a lot, and there was just a lot of negative towards it. Now, obviously, yeah, you're able to get into some calories, but because your digestion is that slow, eating processed, high-fat stuff, you are definitely 110% going to hit a brick wall when you eat a late processed meal that night before full of sugar. You might be a milkshake, it might be a burger from McDonald's, it could be anything, right? That's still going to be stuck in your stomach the day after, and you're then expected in the morning to get a pre-workout meal in, and you can't eat it. So, dirty bulking does not build more muscle than clean bulking. The problem with this day and age is that people always look for a scale weight when they're trying to bulk, which means they're gaining more muscle. When in reality, that is not the case. How is your performance? Because your scale weight might be going up, but your performance is down, your sleep performance is down, your moods are down, your physique isn't looking any better because it's so watery, struggling with the stress of the food that it's trying to eat and process, because processed food is not natural. Your body shouldn't really or historically be digesting that. Clean bulking allows you to digest very well, to get good volumes of the right macros in, the right fiber, the right macronutrients. So if there was one over the other, you're obviously going to select clean bulking, but you can also make some of the meals quite calorie dense through clean bulking with the right education, the right coach, the right guidance, the right meal plan. So yeah, number 3, clean bulking / dirty bulking. There isn't a difference. Dirty bulking does not build you more muscle. I like that one. That one were a good one. Supplements build great physiques. Now, again, there's an element to supplements giving you an advantage when you are trying to build a physique, right? Absolutely. But I'm going to use, for instance, whey protein, let's say, as a supplement in this video. Whey protein is absolutely not needed. You definitely 110% do not need whey protein. You might be looking at my stories on Instagram or anything like that, and all I'm doing is snapping whey protein constantly. And all it is because the types of meals that I have, to add protein into that meal, you need whey protein. But you can literally eat, so for instance, this morning, 3 slices of sourdough, 4 whole eggs fried sunny side up, bacon medallions and a little bit of HP brown, and one of the nicest meals I've ever had, one of the nicest meals that I like to have on a rest day, it's high in fat, and I got in a shit ton of protein. The next meal, chicken, white rice, cottage cheese, veg, shit ton of protein. So you don't have to have whey protein. If anything, you're better off getting your protein from natural sources of food. That way, food carries a lot of second supplement, creatine. Do you absolutely need to supplement creatine? There's a benefit to supplementing creatine because a lot of the people that are in this day and age probably don't eat enough of the right foods in order to get that creatine from their food. Therefore, when you're supplementing creatine, you're kind of filling in that gap. But the problem is that people expect creatine to build you a shit ton of muscle. And unfortunately, it's just not going to work like that. Creatine, you will hardly feel the difference within a year. It's a long-term thing, and over that long term, you accumulate small margins of progress, which can then collate to a massive, decent size sum of progress years and years and years down the line. So if you're taking creatine, don't expect to be absolutely fucking Phil Heath, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Tom Platz. You're not going to get anything like that. So, myth number 4. And then now, the last one. More training does not equal more muscle. I get a lot of clients on board that want to go all out at the start, 7 days a week train. I can do 7 days a week. Tyler, I can do 7 days a week. You cannot do 7 days a week and sustain it. So obviously when you're trying to build muscle, you need consistency, you need stability or sustainability. And if you go all out, balls to the wall at the very, very start of your journey, how are you ever going to keep that up? There's absolutely no chance. Some of the best physiques in the world. Who was it? Someone said Tom Platz. Well, it was Tom Platz, who trained legs once a month. And look at the size of this guy's legs. Obviously, that's not going to be like that. He was on gear, etc. Genetics play a big part. But you don't need to train 7 days a week to try and build more muscle than this guy training 5 days per week. If I was to say who would be building more muscle, the 7 days or the 5 days, absolutely the 5 days is going to gain more muscle, because when muscle builds, it grows, it repairs when you are resting. It doesn't grow in the gym. You don't walk out of that gym session every time you go in with more muscle mass. You just don't. Your muscles are broken. They need to repair. If you don't allow that time for your muscles to repair, you are not going to get anywhere. All right? So you can overtrain? Absolutely. Now, if you believed any of these myths, I wouldn't worry. The most important thing about these is just trying to understand that everything that you hear online on social media is definitely not always true. And I wanted to put this video out just because there's a lot of people that I speak to, whether that's clients, people on Instagram who DM me, etc., that believe these myths. And unfortunately, it just is not, it's just not good to see overall. It's not. So anyway, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like I said at the start, subscribe, follow for definitely a lot more content. I am 7 and a bit weeks out now from my first competition of the season, as a natural, by the way. And if there's any other myths or things that you've heard within the industry that you are questioning, drop them below. And best believe I'm going to cover them again in this prep, because I've got too much time and I'm too shredded and I've got too much food to eat, too much energy at the moment to not cover it. All right. So that is me. T Nizzle. Peace.